Yo guys, what's up? Mario, CrossFit Naples here. I want to show some regressions for the press, the push press or the push jerk even. The thing with any overhead position is we have to create awareness for where barbell placement is in relationship to your body, specifically the middle of your foot. What we know is that when a bar is overhead and placed over the middle of our foot, and our midline is stable and strong, and our glutes are activated, we are in a safe position. We are in a strong, safe, and effective position. The problem is with beginner athletes or even professional athletes, advanced athletes, is this proprioception of athletes thinking that this is directly over the middle of my foot, or they think that this is directly in the middle of my foot, when in actuality it's not. We need to create that awareness for our athletes. I like starting with the PVC for getting them overhead and understanding awareness, creating awareness for the overhead position. So one of the things that the PVC doesn't allow is for realistic measure of how a 45-pound bar with a weight will load on your shoulders. I understand this is probably the best that I'm going to get, right? But overhead, I can start teaching, getting that head out of the way, pressing through as that bar remains in the middle of my foot, and getting back to that overhead, stiff, nice, strong position. Pulling back down and setting again. Setting in the rack, probably not the most realistic measure. When we start getting to the bar, that's when I can start teaching rack position, how important that is. But just consistently learning how to pull your head back, drive that bar through, get your head back through your biceps and set in that strong position. Pull back down, set again. And just teach that right here, right? Not this how you're usually seen, right? They don't, the athlete would rather get the bar around their head and get their head back and drive through straight ahead. So we got to teach that awareness first. Second, we can start teaching setting the bar on the rack position, and that's super important. The rack position is the same as the rack, the physical rack of this equipment, right? If this is the rack that's holding up the bar, then I have to create an artificial rack on my body to place that bar as well. So I set my hands on that deadlift grip position, close grip, clean grip position, and I set. And for a lot of people, there's a struggle to get these shoulders forward a little bit. And I'm trying to just bring those shoulders forward just enough for the bar to sit, but not so much that I create vulnerability back here, where I'm really exposed and the bar is setting here, or I'm walking around like this. This is a really, really bad position to set in. But I want to bring the shoulders in advance enough so that bar can sit on that rack position. Here, bring shoulders forward, boom, walk back. Now it's in the rack position. For a lot of people, this is really uncomfortable. And even, don't be confused, it's just as uncomfortable for me. There's a balance there where I don't want that bar shoving and choking me out, passing me out in the middle of my workout, but I need it to be setting in that above that clavicle and putting a little bit of pressure on your throat, which it will. Boom, set, get in that rack position, ready to go. Notice that there is, from the side view, there is some flexibility constraints that I have to have here. Notice that I'm not loading the bar here. The bar is not being loaded here. It's resting on my shoulders as my wrists flex backward, okay? And when I go into any of those push presses or those push jerks, I'm pushing up with my hip, driving right about here. It sets there as I start pushing out. I'm not holding the bar like this. That's where we get this complaint from athletes that it hurts their wrist and so forth. And the answer to that is that the bar is not holding, my hands are not holding the load, okay? The bar is not setting back here and all that's is the weight's being held by this, okay? It's not. The bar should be set right up in that palm position here, but I have to have some mobility in this position to hold that, and we want to train that. One of the ways to do that is we like just bringing the shoulders forward here and teaching how to drive those shoulders forward, moving into a squat, coming back out without that bar moving. That's a good drill as well. The other one is just getting them comfortable, with those presses and so forth. Getting them to get in that rack position, drive that head back, drive up, head through again, back down. And that's ideally where we want to be, and that's going to take some practice. On my first couple tries, it was really difficult for me. I felt some constraint on my wrists and so forth. I don't think I really improved much flexibility-wise on my wrists. I just think my technique improved. I learned how to set that bar on the rack a little bit better and not put all that load on my wrist. But if someone is struggling, bigger guys tend to just struggle to set in there. So what we do is we modify with these dumbbells, and we try to mimic that position as best as possible, right? With an elbow slightly forward, trying to mimic this bar running across an imaginary line, and really still trying to get that head back, drive through, and back again, right? Where my midline's stable, butt is squeezed, and I'm active from head to toe, and then pull back down. That's a great modification as well, but we need to know that that press and that rack position is the gold standard of where we want to be. And that's where we want to teach our athletes. There's some ability stuff we can do for the wrist, but I really don't believe that doing this stuff is really helping. It might add a little bit more comfortability in the middle of those workouts. But I think the best thing to do is really teach that perception of, hey, let's bring those shoulders in advance, slightly forward to get that rack in that position, knowing that that bar is not actually setting on my hands. I was touching my hands, it's actually setting on my shoulders, all right? So practice those drills, see where your clients are at, and go from there. All right, guys, peace.